Ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be a big week. Season 3 is coming out next week, which is going to return Verdansk, new zombies map, huge multiplayer updates, a bunch of new weapons and everything in between, which means we're getting a ton of content coming out this week. And today we got this.
Verdansk is back. It's rebuilt from the ground up to recapture the original Battle Royale experience, but now it has stunning new textures, improved visuals. We tried to create a more immersive play space. Every building, every road, every detail has been carefully refined to create the most incredible Warzone experience yet.
So this is the first look at the new Verdansk, and as I was watching this, I started to realize something. Yeah, the map is almost exactly the same as the old map, however, with new lighting updates, new textures, things like that, just a new and improved version of it. There's not buildings that are in other locations, but there are little small details that have changed. Colors have changed, banners have changed, one big gameplay element has changed, and in this video, we are going to go over all of that. Now, if you're used to my old videos where I just kind of give you my first reaction or talk about what the update is, we're not doing that over here anymore. Everything on this channel is going to be a little higher edited, a little bit more added to it, whether it be story, documentary style, things along those lines. If you want just the quick news updates for Verdansk, for Warzone, for Call of Duty, or any other game or game reviews, that is Ink TV. It'll be linked down in the description. But without further ado, I don't know what you want to call this one. I'm going to be showing you all of the differences that I could at least spot within the new trailer. Maybe spot the differences. I don't know what you want to call this one, but there's some pretty strange things. So let's start out right here with Boneyard. Do you notice anything maybe a little bit off about this, a little bit different? I'll give you a few seconds. Have a look around. Maybe it's the location where the planes are. Maybe it's how they're stacked, something like that. Let me know down in the comments if you see it, because this one I noticed almost immediately. Now, originally I thought it was the actual colors of the plane, but if you thought that, you would be wrong. You see, the only thing that I could find different here is if you look at the poles. On the old Boneyard, each of the poles scattered throughout Boneyard had different numbers labeled on them, and the one at the end of the tail of the red plane had the number 8. However, it appears as though in New Verdansk, the number 8 is at the front of the plane. Let's look at some bigger differences though. So this is of course the dam. Now, this is almost a perfect recreation, I must say. However, there's some very tiny details that have changed. Again, give it a couple seconds, maybe try to make a guess. If you want a hint, maybe look towards the middle, bottom right of the screen. That bridge is just a little bit different. They've added in a couple different things. On the original dam, this was just a bridge. You could, if you went across it, you were pretty much out in the open. Now, it appears as though there are some boxes, some destroyed vehicles, that kind of thing to give you some cover. And in fact, they actually put out a second video today saying this.
We wanted to make sure that when you transit from one POI to one other POI, you're not a sitting duck, so you have more cover around the map.
For example, in the original Verdansk, rotating from farmlands to downtown left players really exposed. Now there's new cars and some buses that have been added to provide better cover. It makes the rotation safer and a lot more strategic, especially when you're crossing the aqueducts.
So they've added in new cover on the roads and the aqueducts. So in other words, like vehicles, little things that you can hide behind so you're not quite out in the open, especially around downtown. And I'm assuming that's what happened with the dam there. So for the rest of this video, we're just gonna ignore those. If there's like another piece of cover, we're not gonna talk about that. So that can be off your radar. This next one is extremely telling because we pretty much have this exact same image from the original Verdansk. And in fact, there's kind of 3 things that have changed within this area. And of course, this is in downtown Verdansk. Take some guesses. There's 3 individual things. So let's switch over to the older version. So first of all, this is where you can really tell how much the colors and contrast has changed on the map, but as individual difference, starting off with the big building on the left, take a look at the logo on the building. It is still SKN on both, but the thing that says underneath has changed. On top of that, check out the logo on the building in the background, that kind of like red, black, and white one. This has also changed. Now, I believe the wording of this is the exact same, and we'll get to that in a second. But if you look at the logo in and of itself, it is now different. Clearly, the logo sweeps to the opposite side, and the wording on this one, we actually got some sleuths on Twitter who speak Russian to send me this over. I could be wrong. I couldn't find the full image this up close and personal from the original map, but it says June 14th to August 31st. I don't think those dates were there before. And it says Deconstruction's Revolutionary Art of Kostovia. In other words, some sort of art exhibit going on in downtown Verdansk. But again, I don't think those dates were there in the original map. So correct me if I'm wrong, and if you have images, feel free to link them down in the comments. Just as an example of what we were talking about before, this is the new airport area, and I don't have the exact same image, but a very similar one. You can see, first of all, those little kind of cross things are in the same spot, but again, there are more destroyed vehicles and shipping containers to hide behind on the new version than there was on the old version. Now, these last couple, I am going to need your help. Now, this is the stadium, and there's a couple important things when looking at this. First of all, I want to point out that the only zip line that we can see in this image goes all the way up to the roof. On top of that, the roof of the stadium is closed. If you may or may not remember, within Season 5 of Modern Warfare 2019, the roof was blowing off the stadium. This version clearly does not have that. Also, on the back side of the stadium at this point, there was a broken side of it where you could zip line inside the building. So just off of this side alone, it is looking like the stadium's closed. But I think there is one other big difference. I could be wrong about this, and once again, try to guess it. I'm going to point it out, but I don't have the exact image. But there's one thing here that I noticed right away. If we go and look at the other side of Verdansk, the one big difference is if you look at the pillars going inside it, there is actually yellow pillars, whereas the new version has purple. On top of that, there were more pictures showing off the Verdansk Football Club along with the players that were playing inside the stadium. Before this, the leak was that the Verdansk Stadium was going to be open, however, the roof was not going to be blown off. However, the plot thickens because this image is by far the most different image out of any of them in the entire trailer. First of all, the sign saying Verdansk Center looks completely different than the old one. On top of that, you may notice that the pillars in this one are green. So what it appears as though is happening here is that the different sides of the stadium are going to be colored with different colors to kind of signify which side of the building that you're on. Also, that sign off to the left-hand side, I don't think was ever there, and I couldn't get Google Translate to work on that one because of the angle that it was on. So if you speak Russian, feel free to let me know what that says down in the comments. But yeah, the colors around the stadium definitely have changed. Also, the doors are barred shut like the stadium is closed, and the broken window up above is boarded up. So at launch, different colors all around the stadium, and it doesn't look like we're getting inside. Now, the two biggest differences that you can absolutely see here is number one, the colors and lighting, and two, just extra clutter scattered throughout so you're more easily able to get cover, which I do somewhat think is a good thing. Also, water-wise, the waterways you can clearly see throughout this trailer do not have water in them, but the south side of the map does, and I believe you are going to be able to swim in that water, whereas previous Verdansk, if you touched it, you'd just be dead. They haven't confirmed that yet, but based off of how it looks like the water that we've seen before. Also, seeing these certain areas like the closed-off stadium, the current rumor is that season after season, they're going to implement changes that we've seen in the past. So for example, stadium opening, and then the trains turning on, so on and so forth. But I'm hoping once those are done, we can also see some new changes as well. What I will say from this is I think it looks amazing, just like a pumped up version of Verdansk. They didn't go crazy changing it or anything like that. I am curious to hear what you guys think of it. For now, these have been the changes that I noticed. We may see more at final launch, but as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.
We are